With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
Post-game reaction time. Auburn men's basketball versus Ole Miss. The Tigers are victorious on the road for their first, as was said on the broadcast, true road win. We're going to talk about it, the final score, the stats, and the storylines amongst all that. Let's get into it right now. War Eagle, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, we discuss and share in the Auburn experience, all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it, though. If it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing this evening, a late one, for a post-game reaction stream, Auburn versus Ole Miss for the 2025-26 Auburn men's basketball season. 78-66 is your final score. We're going to break it all down here for you. The players of the game, the ones to take note of, individual performances, good, bad, the ugly, the lots of good. It's a win. SEC road wins. 10 in a row versus Ole Miss. You can slice it up 1,000 ways, but we'll talk about the stats and the stories here today. We want to first start by welcoming you into the show. If you're watching live, especially, if you can do us a favor by smashing that like button, hitting that share button on social media as well is also helpful. And as always, make sure you are subscribed, following wherever you're watching, consuming this content, listening to the replay, all that good stuff. So even if you're just catching the replay, we appreciate you stopping in and hanging out with us some this evening. So obviously we will walk through the individual stats. We will walk through the team stats, talk about what happened amongst all that, the stories. We do want to take a little bit of commentary as we can throughout the stream from you all. So feel free to share that for those of you that are watching in the live portion. What we want to hear from you this evening, and so many of you already know the drill, and we appreciate your commitment to that, is your player of the game. Much easier to do that in a win, and a satisfying win, I think. I think most people would categorize this win as a satisfying one. A lot of different ways that you can slice this one up. The first true road win for Auburn. All the other ones have been on neutral sites, and they faced some really difficult road games in and out of conference for their season thus far. But this is the first true one at the Pavilion in Oxford, which is a difficult place to play against a crispier team. They've got high profile names like AJ Storr that's part of this team. So certainly, obviously, you could pick your storyline amongst this about what's the big thing. 10 in a row for Auburn versus Ole Miss, and they've had some good coaches here. It's not like this is a Ole Miss program that's been without talent, leadership, all that stuff. So this is an impressive win for the Auburn Tigers, I would say, in most sense of the word. I think probably there were some moments where it was a little bit frustrating for those, and maybe some of that had to do with the lack of movement in the game because, we had to challenge things and check time clocks and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's not really what we're here really to talk about this evening, but we appreciate you all popping in with us, especially those who are watching live. We've got some players of the game. Certainly let us know. We've got a one for Murphy here, player of the game to Murphy as well for a double-double. Certainly he was very integral to the game tonight. Obviously, most people look at who is the highest scorer for your team to give them the player of the game, and that's usually the case. But since we have already 2 votes to start off the stream for Mr. Murphy, I will gladly oblige that as a big Keyshawn Murphy fan, as the most traditional and most prevalent big man for the Auburn Tigers, which people seem to think there's a lack of in this team, which that may be a fair assessment. That doesn't mean that necessarily has to be a detriment. Keyshawn Murphy tonight, 16 points. He's 5 for 8 from the field, 6 for 7. Hold on, y'all. 6 for 7 from the free throw line. And yes, I've seen you guys already talking about me and the free throw percentage. We'll get there. Trust me. All of this there's lots of good things in this one that I think people aren't aware of. But can we just park it right here for Mr. Keyshawn Murphy? Now, we know that Keyshawn can shoot the ball really well. We've seen him be able to do that from well beyond the arc, whether they want to count it or not. But 6 for 7 from the free throw line is a big man. It's one thing to go like 2 for 2, 3 for 3 as a big man from the free throw line, but go 6 for 7, coupling that with scoring 16 points tonight, 14 rebounds for a double-double for him, 1 assist, 1 personal foul, no turnovers in 23 minutes of play. That is a solid stat line and very much worthy of those of you that already gave him the player of the game nod. So that is an excellent call out for those of you that already did that. And I'm a little bit shocked that I wasn't already on that train. So let's start up at the top from this point forward. But Keyshawn Murphy kind of sets the tone for us for individual performances there already. So good call out there from our viewers. Keyshawn Hall tonight is your leading scorer. Shocker, I know. A lot of it coming by way of the free throw line, which is what you expect. 19 points, 4 for 10 from the field. Doesn't make any of his three-pointers. He's 11 for 12 from the free throw, a rare miss for him. 6 rebounds, 2 assists, one personal foul, 2 turnovers, 35 minutes of play. Pretty solid for him, a little bit loose with the ball a couple of times and didn't really get into that big of foul trouble, which is a change from last week. It's amazing what happens when your best player, or at least your best scorer, is in the game as long as they can be. So quite a change of pace tonight, at least from the last game for Keyshawn Hall. Nice to see him back up where he belongs. And it felt like a slow burn for him tonight. Like it really did. It just felt that we were watching him, yes, score, but it just didn't feel like it accumulated all that much because most of it was coming from the free throw line down the stretch. I mean, what he must have shot at least like 6 in the last 3 minutes or something like that, if not more than that. So 19 points for him. The next leading scorer, we haven't got to Keyshawn Murphy yet in the pecking order of scoring. Tahad Pettiford tonight. We're back in that trend where if we go on the road, neutral site, Tahad Pettiford decides he wants to score. And boy, did he. 17 points tonight, 5 for 12 from the field. Only 1 3-pointer. Some of you already talked about it. Not a great night for 3-pointers for Auburn. In fact, Tahad had 1 of the 2. So good on him for making his 3-pointer. 6 for 6 from the free throw line. I mean, that's what guards are supposed to do, but let's come on. Let's give the man some credit. 2 rebounds, 3 assists. He's the leading assist getter tonight. 1 personal foul, 2 turnovers, 34 minutes of play. Tahad Pettiford with another solid stat line. Guys, and then we're at Keyshawn Murphy, who we've already talked about. Right at the start, that is 3 solid stat lines right there. All impressive. I think all worthy in some cases because you could make the case, we'll get there, of free throws being the difference in the game tonight. All of them have a solid case. Here's a moment that just popped in my head. How about that slam from Tahad Pettiford coming down the lane? Now, you could argue that probably you pull that back and burn some clock there just to get out of there with the way that Ole Miss was starting to shoot down the stretch. But, boy, what a highlight reel. Tahad Pettiford just goes coast to coast down there, and not coast to coast, but just drove in from a great distance and slammed right on top of posterizing a couple of the Ole Miss Rebels. So that was a great break play and a highlight probably of the game. Again, he's not the biggest guard in the world, but certainly he was not afraid to go up there and, seek out some action, so to speak, or give the business to those that want to get in his way. Absolutely outstanding for him. This is a little bit of shout out for Tahad as well from WT. Pettiford's turnaround jumper in the second half was a thing of beauty, and then he got the and one. So there's a lot of good plays for him tonight. Excuse me, all choked up about it. But obviously, that one we just mentioned is probably his highlight of the evening. One more player in double figures, and that is by way of Mr. Sway, Sebastian Williams Adams. 10 points, 4 for 6 from the field, 1 of 2 from the 3-point arc, which was, I'll give a shout out to Blake in a second, if I remember to. 1 for 2 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, a couple of personal fouls. A little a loose game for Sebastian Williams Adams, but he showed a lot of versatility, being able to shoot the 3, the way he was able to drive into the basket, even as a big man from far out near the arc. Distributing the ball. He gets a couple assists tonight, or a assist tonight. So he's a versatile big man, and he showed that tonight. Maybe not one of his most sound games overall when you factor in turnovers and fouls, but all in all, He was a solid factor in this game as the fourth of the Auburn Tigers in double digits tonight. So that's your main scores right there for Auburn. Let's keep working through it. Elijah Freeman tonight, 9 points, one shy of being the fifth Tiger in double digits tonight. He's 5 for 8 from the free throw line. If people keep asking me about where does Auburn need to improve or where does an individual need to improve, I'm not saying anything the coaches and the players don't know, but I would say Elijah certainly needs to become a little bit more secure at his free throws, even as a larger guy. He's not a big man. He's more of a versatile swing man type. I think Elijah certainly could help himself a little bit in that area, but solid night, 9.6 rebounds for him tonight, 1 assist. Not too bad with some of the negatives individual stat wise. Other than that, pretty solid night for Elijah Freeman tonight. He had a couple of great plays as well. He's become known for what Tahad did tonight, driving to the basket and just slamming it down and making a highlight reel. But one of the plays that he had tonight was having that circus shot off his taking it up basically for a layup, falling backwards as he was kind of being pushed, and banked it in from an angle. I didn't really know how he did that, to be honest with you. So that was impressive as well. And that is your major scorers. Filip Jovic kind of comes back down to earth after his awesome game, but still proud of him. 5 points for him tonight, 2 rebounds. He's 100% from the field. He is his shooting percentage from the field is very good this year, if you weren't aware, and he's 100% tonight, 2 for 2, I know, but pretty good for him. Doesn't play a whole lot. 2 points for Kevin Overton, and then none for Blake Muselik, who's still playing as that backup point guard role. I want to give a shout out to Blake Muselik because, listen, a lot of people like to act like they know basketball better than, hey, the head coaches or the players that are, actually out there. Blake, I think, certainly, lacks a little bit of size at times, but he doesn't lack in confidence or desire to prove himself out there. And certainly there's been moments where maybe he seemed a little bit over his head at times, or at least it can appear that way. Not necessarily the case, but he got trapped up at the top of the key tonight. And instead of panicking and kind of getting smothered, he kept his eyes up and found Sebastian Williams-Adams in the corner for an open 3. And so that's, it's one play out of all that, but certainly want to give him a shout out tonight. Oh, and the other thing, Kevin Overton tonight, he was not part of the starting lineup. There was some discussion about that. 2 points for him. Okay, he didn't really shoot that great today, except he only made his free throws tonight, 2 rebounds. A little bit uncharacteristic for him. It's one sample size in a plethora of games this year. I think Kevin Overton has started almost every game. So you would probably look at this and go, well, maybe this wasn't the right choice to start Elijah Freeman over him. I don't know. We'll have to see how that works out, or maybe coach will explain what the thought process behind that was. But as a big Kevin Overton fan, I would have much rather seen him in the starting lineup, where I think he sets a really good pace for the starting lineup there and provides a lot of, I would say, maturity, but security in the very seasoned player that he is as a bigger guard. So just to look through the entirety of the individual stats there. We talked about some of the plays. If there's something that we have forgotten from some of these guys that you'd like to bring up, please do so throughout the stream. We'd certainly love to break down any questions or comments, or even some, other shout outs that people have about some of the individuals tonight. But what we do from here, folks, we are now going to talk about the stats of the game, the official team stats of the game for Auburn versus Ole Miss in this 78-66 win. And you know exactly where we're going to start. Some of you started off the stream, even saying, knowing I was happy about something. And yes, if you can see me just grinning from ear to ear, the big 3 in team stats that we always focus on first, because when people ask me, what's the key to Auburn winning the game? It's the big 3. If you can win these categories, you're going to be in a good position for the game. Let's start with free throws, because it's a thing of beauty tonight. Now, it's not perfect. Perfect would just be absolutely amazing. Free throws tonight, great by both teams. So I just want to give a round of applause to Ole Miss and to Auburn tonight, both above 80%, which is where I want teams to be, where I think you should be as a collegiate basketball team. It is not easy to do that, but it is also not the most difficult thing. 80% is that mark you want to reach. 82% for Auburn. They win the category. Very proud of these guys. 32 of 39 from the field. And as we talked about with individuals, Keyshawn Murphy, as your big man, 6 of 7 from the field. Kit Tahad is 6 of 6. Hall led the way, 11 of 12. I mean, everybody who got to the free throw line at least made that one of theirs. Nobody's worse than 50%, which was 1 of 2 for a bunch of them. So good night for Auburn from the free throw line. Couldn't have been prouder. That will win games, and that will help you win away games as well. Turnovers. Again, Auburn's pushing sort of the tops of it. It's a little bit less than it has been of late, not double digits. Auburn loses this category 9-6. Ole Miss was a lot better with the ball, and you would hope that they would be at home. But people keep asking me, what is the area that Auburn can improve the most, in your opinion? And that is turnovers. And it's an improvement based off of the last game, and I think the game before that. But certainly a little bit high. Can't be doing that on the road. So they lose that category, but pretty close in turnovers. Looky right here, total rebounds, 42-26. And this was like this early in the game. I think it was like 27-6 or something like that. 23-6, 20s and like single digits in the late in the first half. For Auburn's favor. So they really set themselves apart in this category early on, which was going to serve them well down the stretch until they were able to get to the free throw line and maximize that. So this is why we stress these areas, folks. You can maximize the big 3, free throws, turnovers, and rebounds. You put yourself in a really good position to win the game. Auburn wins 2 out of the 3 with a big margin of victory in that total rebounds tonight. That doesn't necessarily mean, though, that this is the stat. One of those is the stat of the game. It might be. I think we got a pretty good case for that. However, in this 78-66 win, let's see what the rest of the team stats say. We got Auburn with 43% from the field compared to 36% for Ole Miss. That'll work on the road. We'll take 43% from the field. What we won't take, and that's 2 games in a row where the free throws have not been good. Somebody called this out earlier. 3-point percentage is scary. That was from Devin earlier in the stream. Certainly that can be a little bit scary when you see that 12%. That's not going to get the job done. And it could have been the thing that lost Auburn the game. But 2 games in a row now, you've seen Auburn at home and on the road where they have shot very poorly from the 3-point arc, found other ways to win. So that should encourage you, as scary as that could be, as it could be. The rest of the stats, points off of turnovers, 10-11 in Ole Miss's favor. So that's a push, really. Second chance points, 15-11. Very close. Auburn wins that one. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. I would love for this to be the stat of the game, but it's I think it's a little bit skewed if you don't understand the context. 7-41 bench points. Ole Miss wins that category. Store, right, coming off the bench. Yeah, and Perry as well. So their bench guys tonight really pushed the envelope for them in terms of scoring and won them that category. If you understand a little bit what's going on with their dynamics there, that's a little bit misunderstood about why there's such a discrepancy there. But it's still something to take a note of. I'd love to put it as the stat of the game because it's so wide of a differential. I don't think we can do that, though. Here's one, though. Points in the paint, 38-14. Auburn wins that one. More than doubled them up. Outstanding. Outstanding by Auburn there. Fast break points, 11-6. Auburn wins that. Blocks, Auburn wins by 1. They win by 1 in steals. Assists tonight by both teams pretty even, more so in Ole Miss's favor. So there you have it. That's the team stats, or at least the bulk of them right there, resulting in that 78-66 win. Your Auburn Tigers are victorious on this very challenging road game in the SEC, as it always is, no matter who you play in the SEC. Now, we may have missed some stuff. We may have missed individual things. We may have missed some team stat stuff, some other moments. Certainly, we don't have to be done here if you don't want to in terms of our commentary and your commentary. We'll try to look back through a little bit. Please do drop some things in here as we start rounding out the show here this evening, breaking down Auburn versus Ole Miss. A couple of reminders for you. I'd say several reminders for you. So this is the part of the show where most of you know the drill, but we've got some special things this week you need to be aware of. Your next scheduled live stream, Auburn Family Night tomorrow night. Don't miss it because there won't be one next week because there's a conflict again with basketball. But live call-in show, we'd love to have you there. Come hang out with us, have some fun. We're going to have a good time hanging out with you all who choose to join the chat and call the show. We'd love to see you all there at 9 Eastern time. Next scheduled stream after that, Auburn versus Florida, big one. Rematch of sorts for the Final Four with different teams, no less, and a different head coach, kind of. But Auburn versus Florida, that's going to be highly anticipated this Saturday, right after the game. The Auburn Experience episode 159 live recording this Sunday. And as I've already said, we will be back on the next time for another post-game stream with the Texas game next week as well, which will be on Wednesday. But one other thing, should have had this in order. This Thursday, so not Wednesday, that's Auburn Family. This Thursday, 2 days away, spring Auburn uniforms with Clint Richardson. We're going to be talking about that. He also will spend some time talking about some of the new uniform stuff for the winter sports we didn't get to do with him because he was busy. I was busy. So join us this Thursday at 8. So 9 tomorrow at 9, Thursday at 8, post-game stream on Saturday right after the game, Sunday at 9, and we'll go from there. That should get you caught up. And lastly, check out all of our links in our description, such as Shopping with Alumni Hall. We'll put all links, the link tree in there for you to check out ways to connect, to shop, to support, all the things that you can do to be part of the Auburn experience here with us at E2C Network. All right, let's round out the show here, see what you guys are saying. This is from WT. This was a really good win for the team. It boosts confidence when you get a win on the road against a good team. Both teams came in here with very similar records, a little bit favorable, or just one win used to be more favorable for Ole Miss. Now they're tied. So this will put Auburn now in the lead. Yes, in terms of the overall record for them. You could make a case this is a jockeying for position at this point. They were ahead in the SEC standings coming in tonight, as my understanding. So certainly that is something to factor into this. You're kind of positioning yourself where you are in the pecking order at this part of the season. So that's a good notch in your belt to take care of that on the road, show people that you can win on the road in the SEC. Still very early in conference play. So very solid thing to point out there. Looks like we had a lot going on here. This is Devin says, to be transparent, I don't really start paying attention to Auburn basketball until they made the Final Four run, mainly because they were never on TV, but I knew we would have a drop off after Bruce, but I would never give up on a coach after less than a season. And truthfully, I would give him a few. Certainly. I think there's a certain amount of consternation that you've seen. It's always the case. People just want reactions, clicks. That's all it is. Wins on the road are very hard to get in the SEC. That doesn't matter the sport. I would add there. The SEC is a place where you just kind of beat up on each other a lot. Another shout out here for two players. Love Jovic. I never bought into the hate. He just needed some time. Love the relationship between him and Sway. If you're not sure what she's mentioning, it is from a post-game press conference last week where Sway talked a lot about his love for his teammate and how proud he was of him of showing out. Certainly a little bit less of a day for Jovic numbers-wise, but he didn't have to. Everybody else took care of it. How good is it to know, though, that you have players that can and will step up when others are having a less-than game, which is what we saw last week. And then when the roles reverse, somebody else is just going to take care of it, or people are just going to slide. You have to have great role players. One of the great examples right now is Dylan Cardwell in the NBA, doing such a great job as a role player. And sometimes that has a negative connotation, and it's far from it. I think Philip Jovic is showing that he is Jovic. I keep saying Jovic. Jovic is showing he is and going to be an outstanding teammate, roster member, role player, however you like to categorize him, because he can do a little bit of everything, even not be in this league very long at all and kind of getting his feet wet very, very quickly here. So I think we covered it all. To summarize everything for us here, your final score, 78-66. I think we have a consensus that Keyshawn Murphy would probably be our player of the game. There's other guys with great stats as well, but Keyshawn Murphy, especially when a big man is 6 of 7 from the free throw line, we'll go with him for the player of the game. I don't know that we actually did pick a stat of the game from the team stats because there are a lot of good options. I think you really can just look at that 38 to 14 points in the paint. Free throws are impressive, all that, but when you can be that efficient and that successful in the paint, especially on the road, it's going to be very much in your favor. So solid game for the Tigers. Took care of business in Oxford, and a win in the column in the SEC for Stephen Pearl and the boys. Thank you so much for joining us for this post-game stream. We hope you enjoyed it. As we go, I want to remind you the Auburn Creed asks you to do these things. Do justly, love mercy, walk humbly with God. We'll ask you to do the same.